Yes, so my name is Frantzeska Papadopoulou. I'm a professor of intellectual property law at Stockholm University at the law faculty. That is quite an interesting question, actually. I'm personally not using any intellectual property rights to boost innovation, but what I would say is that in my research, I have seen that open science works very well with intellectual property protection if there is a conscious IP and open science policy that is applied by the researchers or by the company. So for instance, I have recently been working with precision medicine, and precision medicine is quite an interesting innovation environment and an interesting innovation ecosystem because it requires a cooperation of different stakeholders, both state, universities, hospitals, but also the private sector, pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies. And in order for the precision medicine innovation ecosystem to operate, you have to have an open science approach. There are so many stakeholders involved. Everything has to be tested directly in a healthcare environment, so it's very difficult to be very protectionistic, to always think about trade secrets and so on. So it's quite an interesting paradigm where we see that in an open science environment, there could also be intellectual property rights involved at a later stage of the innovation process. So the innovation in the first phase is very open, but at the later stage can involve intellectual property protection. So I think there is no conflict between intellectual property and open science, but there could be if there is no conscious policy applied. So open science is perceived as, or a starting point for open science is having everything very open and publishing everything. And that could, of course, be a problem if you want to apply for a patent, because you might risk destroying the novelty of the invention. So, of course, you have to make conscious choices. But I have seen in practice that both worlds can coexist in a very good way. Well, the challenge is, I think there is quite a low awareness of what intellectual property rights, what they are, and the different categories of intellectual property rights and the different conditions to get protection. And there is a low awareness of IP and there is a low awareness of open science. And if you combine the two, this low awareness in both fields creates some misconceptions. That, I think, is a challenge. I think we have to educate people, we have to educate researchers, but also support mechanisms that researchers have around them. For instance, at universities, grant offices, innovation offices, the legal departments of universities. We have to educate them in both fields and actually show how these two can coexist. So I think that is kind of the challenge, to educate in both fields and also be able to show that the one does not exclude the other. If you want to have intellectual property protection for some of your assets, that doesn't mean you cannot have an open science strategy in other fields. I think I mentioned precision medicine, but the same goes for AI. I think we live in an era where we need to have open innovation. We've seen that when we keep things more open, when we make data accessible, we have a lot of innovation. We have a lot more innovation, we have a lot more impact. We've seen that in the COVID pandemic, where we were forced to operate more on open science models and contribute to each other's research. So I think we need to think in these terms. I think we need to start drafting our innovation policies, taking into consideration open science. Open science is not something imposed from above. I think it's a need from the research community as such. And I also see the amazing opportunities that are out there when you are able to make accessible research results quite fast and with no unnecessary restrictions.